Hello. Good morning.
Morning, Bobby.
Okay.
How's your snow levels out there? You getting some snow?
No, we didn't get much snow, but just cold.
Okay.
Yeah, I get down to -5 one day.
Wow. Yeah, it was cold here, but Steve and I were in Texas, so we missed it.
That's right.
Yeah. But we actually got our plane delayed because the it was so bad back east. They couldn't send us home. But anyway, we got back last night, no problem.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah. So what's going on? You said you had some questions about stroke and
Yeah,
is that
I think that's one thing. What I have read, what I'm aware of, is that the Trager was miracle worker.
yeah, Milton Trager did do a lot of things that most people cannot. Yes.
Cannot, so I really believe that,
Yeah.
but then, anything, there's a limit to how much you could help,
Well, so were you just kind of wanting to know what his experiences were and then how we've kind of adapted it to go forward?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Uh-huh.
So what I understand from Milton was that he felt that if the spinal cord was not severed,
Uh-huh.
regeneration of the nerve pathways could happen.
Okay.
Okay, so if somebody has a stroke, which impedes part of the brain function, then there are enough pathways there to regenerate communication.
Okay.
And I think he figured that out long before the medical community, because now we have science that backs that up, and talking about neuroplasticity, where 25, 30 years ago they felt like that kind of damage could not repair. And so the treatment and techniques and also protocols for dealing with stroke persons has changed in the medical community. So for instance, right away, the best physical therapy for people with stroke is that you don't put the support on the side that has been injured. You put the support over here and you force people to get more active with the hand that's not working. So the sooner, I'm just using the upper body here. So the sooner that person has to, make that work again, the more likely they're going to get full functioning. Instead of just, okay, I got a stroke, I'm never going to use this arm again, I'm just going to learn to use my left arm. Now it's like, let's cinch this one down and make you go back to what, trying, not in a cruel way,
Right.
in a therapeutic way. And then Milton used reflex response for stroke victims, which is what we have been doing a little bit of each time we get together, with where it's meeting my pressure, because that creates the communication from the brain or the spinal column, the spinal cord, to the limb. And that is a way of bringing quickness and response back into areas that are sluggish or has been damaged or whatever. So I find I have worked with some people with stroke in clinical settings, not so much in my private practice here, but one woman I did see up in Mount Vernon for a long time. I drove up there to this, it was a development in mentally disabled home. And she
Mm-hmm.
was a CP person, cystic fibrosis person. And she was 30 years old, but she was like a four-year old, you know. But her family, her mother, who had put her in there, wanted me to go in and be an advocate and also work with her body and see if we could get her some relief. She had a lot of spasticity. She had bladder infections. She was always like agitated. And so I went in there and I was there once a week for a long time doing the Traeger approach. And she
Mm-hmm.
became much healthier, much calmer. And she did have some constrictions and she was able to move her arms. And so there was a lot of change in her physique as well as in her demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think, and because of that experience, I know how valuable the work is.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never really been a part of a stroke clinic or any kind of people that have really been, um, I worked with them a lot as a nurse, and that
Yeah.
didn't give me a lot of time with Traeger approach, but
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Hmm.
So do you know somebody with a stroke or?
Yeah, the one of my old yoga students did have about 10, 11 weeks ago.
Oh,
And
okay.
and yeah, the one thing, it did not affect her brain.
Okay.
She's determined.
Yes.
So it has that thing going for her, determination, and she's searching for all different ways, energy workers, so forth, so
Yeah.
on.
Great.
And so
Yeah.
when I was talking to her,
Yeah.
it just occurred to me, or I bet, that was my thinking. I bet trigger approach could help her
Yes.
some degree,
Yeah. So was she in that class we had?
No,
No, somebody else. Yeah.
somebody else.
So you've seen her since then or not so much?
No, not so much.
Yeah.
I'm not that close, but one of my current yoga student, she's real close to her friend,
Yeah.
and so I'm kind of planning to, go visit more often.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just to cheer her up, and
Right. Right.
but I was just curious.
Yeah, it definitely can have an impact because what we're doing is
Mhm,
rewiring the brain.
mhm,
Even without a stroke, every
mhm,
movement pattern that we are playing with can change.
mhm,
So we could say that a stroke is just a new pattern.
mhm,
So how do we approach that pattern with lightness and softness and
mhm,
freeing movement so that the whole body can help bring back the movement into that
mhm.
part that has gotten tired or
Yeah.
damaged.
Mhm.
So,
So anyway, she has some movement on the left side leg, anyways, but she has absolutely no movement with her arm. Just completely not there yet.
yeah, yeah. But has she got a damage up into her face and jaw?
No,
No, it's
no.
shoulder, arm.
Just the shoulder and the arm is mainly, that's the most obvious, notice that. But she speaks well, and so that you cannot tell that she had a stroke when she talked and moved her head.
Right. Is she standing and walking?
Uh-uh,
No.
not yet.
Okay. So
Yeah,
then the leg was affected,
right.
but she can move her leg, you said.
A little, I noticed a little movement there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then, what we would do would be to challenge that, right? We would challenge it so that it had to meet us. It had like we could push, 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 and eventually she might have a response to that. Or
Uh-huh.
we could pull, 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 and then she
Mm-hmm.
might have a response to that.
To that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is how Milton actually discovered how effective what he was doing was with a baby, an infant,
Mhm.
who wasn't who wasn't getting up on all fours. It was dragging itself around, and it
Mhm.
was, probably 7 or 8 months old, so it was beyond the right timing for that baby to have been up on all fours. And so what
Mhm.
he did was, the baby was just trying to move around, and he just took a hold of the leg and he pulled, and the baby eventually with the whole body pulled that leg forward
Mhm. Mhm.
because he was trying to hold the baby back. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, and so the leg kind of got the message that I have to get engaged here. And then he did it on the other side, and pretty soon that baby was up crawling.
Okay.
It was crawling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the challenging of that limb,
Mhm.
it might come from the center of the spinal cord, maybe. Some parts of the central nervous system, they connect to the spinal cord and then they go back, like our legs. It doesn't go all the way up to the brain. It comes to the spinal cord and then it goes back, those nerve pathways. Some of them, the larger ones, go all the way up and then all the way down.
Mhm. Mhm.
But for simple movements, we don't have to do that. So if someone is, if that arm can be challenged
Mhm.
so that the rest of the body pulls it back. Maybe she can't use these muscles right now, but she
Mhm.
could probably use the center core of her body. And then eventually that becomes more localized, so that you would come here, and then you would come here, and then you might come here.
Mhm.
So it's yeah, it's kind of fascinating to watch that return of,
Mhm. Good.
but
Okay.
it's not any different than, in my mind. I mean, it's more severe, of course, what's happened to her, more
Mhm.
traumatic.
Uh-huh.
Emotionally and psychologically, it's more traumatic, but it sounds like she's positive about change.
You're right.
And so then, if that's the case, then we just think of, how do we affect change in changing these patterns? And it's through the movement. With wherever you have movement on the good side, and you start there and you transfer it, and you challenge gently, and with a lot of pauses in between.
Mhm.
The body can learn what just happened. You don't want to overwhelm, or frustrate. That doesn't help.
Mhm.
But yeah, I definitely think that you could get, she could regain her movement for sure. As long as that spinal cord was not severed, she could get full range back.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I hear. Her spinal cord is okay.
Yeah.
And so. Mhm. Yeah.
Definitely a
Yeah.
stroke. Yeah, it's different. Have you watched or read the book A Stroke of Insight? Have you read that book?
No.
Oh, that would be a really good book for both of you to read. So this was a woman who was a neuro physiologist,
Uh-huh.
and she had a stroke, and she was able to understand what was happening. And then she went through this process of making the phone call. She writes the story, this beautiful story about this, and over a 7-year period of time has rehabilitated herself to back to normal and giving talks. So actually, you could go to TED Talks. Do you ever watch those on?
Yeah, some programs. Yeah.
Yes, I'm trying
Uh-huh.
to think of what her name was. I have that book. Um, well,
Yeah, I searched that.
yeah, if you Google it,
Stroke of insight.
yes, A Stroke of Insight, and she
Uh-huh.
describes, most importantly, the thing that she described was being able to to read auras of people that were around her.
Uh-huh.
Somehow she was able to develop this keen sense of energy,
Uh-huh.
and could not, she couldn't communicate anymore, but she could feel extremely well. And she
Uh-huh.
could sense people's auras, and she knew who was really supportive and who was not. But her telling of the story just gave the rest of the world this understanding of how energy is real,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Mm-hmm.
we really need to develop those skills too as practitioners, is to be able to be with somebody and know the words that you're choosing make a big difference, and the way you approach somebody makes a big difference. And so anyway, she's a really great storyteller of her own
Mm-hmm.
illness and
Experience.
recovery. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Totally recovered and
Mm.
went back to lecturing and teaching, and
Uh-huh.
but she was pretty decimated by that stroke,
Uh,
could not speak. She could hear and understand, but she could not speak.
uh,
Yeah, so
mm.
really fascinating. So that might be interesting to read.
Interesting. Yeah. Reading. Yeah.
Mhm.
Really for her
Yeah,
also,
yeah,
you know?
and for all of us,
Yeah.
because
All of us. Yeah. I'll look it up.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah,
So, so that's enough for that. But the April 6th, 7th, and 8th. So
yeah.
I'm planning to sign up for that.
Are you? That's great.
Yeah.
Good. So that will be, I'm looking at my card here. Yeah, we're going to do that here in Columbus. And
Columbus.
yeah, so most people, well, if you're close enough, you can drive in or you can fly into Columbus Airport.
Mm-hmm.
And then oftentimes, if people can, they share lodging. There's actually a space to sleep at the studio, which is $50 a night. If you want to, you can have an air mattress and sleep right there at the studio. That's pretty inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
There's a shower and a kitchenette, and in the mornings when we get there, we just have to make sure that you get this one area cleaned up that you're sleeping in, before we show up. That's all. I think you can handle that. But there's also
Uh-huh.
nearby bed and breakfasts, and sometimes people share those, the
Mm-hmm.
cost of that. Now, I don't have anybody signed up for it yet. This usually runs to the last minute, but
Mm-hmm.
it is being advertised and everything. So I will keep you posted on that.
Okay. Yeah. The current plan is my wife Mary has a good friend, a best friend in Loveland, Ohio.
Loveland. That's
So,
south
so
of
I figure out it's about a little over an hour of a driving
yeah.
to your place.
Okay.
So
Do you think you would stay there, or?
I think I'm gonna stay there
Okay.
and commute.
Yeah. Okay. That will save you
I
some
think
money.
that will work. I may change my mind a little bit, but that's the current plan.
Okay.
And she could spend the time with her best friend, and I do my thing, and in the evening we get together and have a dinner and so forth. So I think it's quite workable. So that's what I'm
Okay.
thinking.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I'd love to meet you in person. Yeah. Yes, that's great. And then you can take
Mhm.
back all that you gain to your yoga students and
Right. Okay.
apply it.
So this 3 days of Mentastic though. I gonna figure some people hasn't done any like me,
Right.
formal class, so we get to learn those 6 triggers exercise.
6
You know,
Trager exercises? What do you mean?
yeah, I call it Mentastic. It consists of 6, isn't it?
No,
6 movement.
no,
No.
not at all. No, that's not. So Mentastics, there's no 6 in there, no number. It's limitless what we can do with this.
Okay.
So there are certain principles that
Mm-hmm.
that you've been learning that we just keep building on: softness, freeness, lightness,
Okay.
yeah, creativity, imagination, all those things. But mentastics means mental gymnastics,
Mm-hmm.
which is a word that Milton and Emily, his wife, came up with, which means that we're using our mind to move our body. That's all that means.
Okay.
There's no six. But if you want to come away with 6 specific things, I can help you do that. But
No, the reason why I say 6, I thought there was a 6 set of things that Merton talks about in a Trager book.
I've never seen that. And what book are you talking about?
The only
book that he wrote, the one about movement as a way to agelessness?
Yeah, that's one.
Oh, okay. So in the back,
okay.
yeah,
In the back, okay,
Yeah,
you know, he talks about 6,
yeah,
right?
that's all that, yeah, but it's
Okay.
unlimited. But we can definitely go over those and make sure
Okay.
you have those down. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those were the ones that he and Kathy Hammond felt needed to go in there, but there are so much more, so much.
Okay.
more.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and remind me if I don't get to all of them, but I usually do have a bunch of those books, and we go through those, a few of them. I haven't done all 6, I don't think.
Yeah.
But you know, over my career, I use them all the time, so I don't even think about them being in that book anymore. But yeah, that's great, Nabi. I'm glad that you found that, and actually having his guidance, you know, for the languaging of how you lead those and how you get into that feeling of Traeger. That's really helpful. Yeah. Have you been watching some of his videos on YouTube?
Well, his original, I searched and searched. I only found couple Traeger actually doing, but it's very short, like a 2-minute in length.
Okay.
So I, you know, I'd be really interested to find, you know, if you know of how to get there, or you know, you could send me a link. That'd be good.
Do you have time right now if I go online and find it? Is that your dog?
Yeah.
The big dog. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to do a little search here. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to show you how to get to these, okay?
Okay.
All right, so you see this? You can see
I see this.
Okay. So I just did a Google search and I typed in Milton Traeger.
Okay.
Google search, right? So then he comes up here. This has all of the websites. So here's International Traeger, the United States Traeger Association. Those are the 2 that are ours. There's just 2 websites. These other ones are by other people. You know, some people I've noticed out there are not even Traeger members, but they're promoting Traeger in their practice. So we don't really do anything about that, but it's really not legal. You know, they're not certified. So what do, you know?
Right.
All right. So anyway, then here is, let's try this one here first. Well, actually, that's just a picture. Okay. Yeah. So let me go to, I want to go to YouTube.
Starting tomorrow, this odd rice hack can change your life and help you drop up to 13 pounds week after week.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right, so we're in YouTube, so this is Roger Toll.
Traeger is a wonderful
Uh-huh.
approach to reaching the unconscious patterns.
Have you seen this one?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
all right. Okay, so now I'm going to go up here and I'm going to search in the YouTube space. Okay,
Uh-huh.
this is not a big wide search. This is in YouTube. And this might be the one that you saw. I'm not sure, but here are.
Yeah, this is what I saw.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh. This one.
Well, this is a 10-minute one.
Okay, right. Okay.
This is 10 minutes.
That's right. Yeah.
And let me see if there's something else here. Okay.
This interview was interesting.
Oh, you saw the interview.
I saw. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's there.
And that was, yeah.
Yeah, so you've been on this YouTube one.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, this is the guy that is not a Traeger member. I don't know who he is, but he looked like he was doing a good job. You know. Okay, so I guess those are the only two that
Okay.
are out there.
Uh-huh.
When you are a member,
Uh-huh.
you have more access to our website,
Okay.
which would give you more information. You can still
Yeah, there was a one trigger doing the fantastic for like a 4 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And it was really, really fun to watch.
Okay, really
Because his movement was, just there's no tension, just move around. It's like a dancing, and I kind of said to myself, I want to see more of that.
Yes.
That's another reason why I'm signing up for it, so that I could be member and have access to others. That was another goal that I had.
Yeah, that's great. So this is for members only, but these are all Mentastics classes that have been led by different people. They're online and they're free. So you could do an hour a week or whatever. I think I've got something on there at some point, but that's going to be another option for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think you're headed in the right direction. If you're ready to get more, we want to help you to develop, and watching videos is a good way to do that. But being part of a community is great too, and you'll be the only one in your state that. And you're in Iowa, right? Or
No,
Idaho.
the Missouri.
Oh,
I'm in
Missouri.
Missouri.
I'm sorry. You're in
Yeah.
Missouri. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, we used to have a really great practitioner. Her name was Mary Openlander. And I have her book. She wrote this really beautiful book called, let me see if I can find it here. Hang on a second. I know where it is. Okay, so her book is it was on breast cancer. And it's called One Illness, Two Women, Four Seasons. And so she was in St. Louis, and she was a physical therapist. Yeah. So she's no longer practicing. I think she retired. But this is a really good book also.
What was that? Mary
Openlander, OPEN.
Lander.
Lander, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so she and this woman that she was working with,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a lot of personal stories from the woman who was going through it, as well as Mary's experience as a practitioner, and,
Oh,
and the
uh-huh.
things that they found that helped,
Yeah.
mentastics that they used. And yeah, so it's a really nice
Uh-huh.
journal experience for both of them, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of resources out there that will be made available to you. We have a handbook. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we are currently updating our handbooks and everything else. So you're coming in
Okay.
at a good time. Yeah.
Uh-huh. The you know, we did the 2 sessions with a group,
Mhm.
my yoga group,
Right.
and um, I, part of it, I watch them do things.
Okay, good.
Okay, and I know them in
Right.
person, what type of people they are,
Uh-huh.
and so forth. So I begin to kind of thinking that for those people who are yang, meaning
Yes.
physical,
High
per,
energy.
okay, high energy person
Yeah.
versus little soft, I call it yin person.
Yes.
Like Diane, she's the massage therapist.
Uh-huh.
She's more the yin person.
Okay.
And Teresa, she teaches yoga also,
Mhm.
and she's hyper, you know,
Really
and
honest.
yeah,
Yeah.
and what they do fantastic.
Mhm.
I'm finding out the that the young person
Yes.
or more into physical things,
Uh-huh.
they're a little more difficult to adapt to this
To slow it
versus
down.
versus
Mhm.
those who are
Mhm.
like a therapist, she more tuned into it. It's easy for her to adapt,
Yeah. Yeah.
So the question that I have, and I'm sure you're gonna cover this on the Mentastic, but for that person,
Mhm. For the person who is yang.
right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a challenge for our clients too, those that are
Uh-huh.
they're just so quick to get back into their pattern. So
Yeah.
letting go of a pattern of is a challenge. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so how do we help them to get that feeling? And
Right.
Milton said that it's contagious. You have to catch it like the measles. So the more that we are around people that have that more slower but very present energy, slower and
Mm-hmm.
very present. And it's not that we're not energized, it's just that we are holding the space
Mm-hmm.
while we are in it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Instead of just going through space. Sometimes
Right.
that's kind of a way that I see things. But
Mm-hmm.
and so I have a story about that, which is when I was in psychiatric nursing. Some really mentally ill people on the unit would, when they would get agitated, they would start pacing, and they would pace up and down the hall. And if something didn't change, they could explode. They were working up to some kind of an event. And so the way we were taught to manage that was just to start walking with them at their pace and engaging with them at their pace, and then gradually begin to slow our pace down. And then they would match our pace. And then pretty soon we're walking normally and the energy has calmed down.
Hmm.
So without having to do anything, administer a drug or even any talk therapy or anything,
Mm-hmm.
you're modeling how that could be different. And then their system, their neurological system feels that and mimics that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Milton again had it in his mind that it's contagious. But now we know there are mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are when we see something in our environment, we mirror it, whether it's a hyperactive person or it's a tree,
Uh-huh.
right? So,
Right.
so our role as practitioners, human beings, is to really be present and to be able to be in a state of presence,
Mm-hmm.
and that just spreads, you know,
Yeah.
state of peace. So we don't have to do anything for these people. We have to become more of what is best for us. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Mhm.
not in the doing business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is not something to do with somebody. This is something to be with somebody. That's
Interesting.
yeah, and I've never really said it quite like that, but that's exactly what it is. You know, we're just here to be ourselves, and what's really healthy for me is to embrace this idea that I don't have to be doing things 100 miles an hour, you know, that I can really enjoy my life more and let it flow, and
Mhm.
and not have the stress of all of that, you know.
Yeah.
And that's a different life for a lot of people. It's a different way of being. And obviously people want it or they wouldn't find us, you know, or they wouldn't be attracted to what we have to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great that you want to share that because you already have it, you know, in a way, and now you want to share that with people and you want to learn more
Mm-hmm.
about it for yourself. And
So, I call it myself, if I could more into the metastics,
mhm,
that I have a captive audience.
yeah,
Okay. Well, I I spent some time with the assisted living folks.
great. Yeah,
I mean,
that's a
okay,
captive audience.
I call it that they're hopeless. I call it hopeless. I mean, they're beyond. Their
Okay.
mind's going. Yeah, their mind's going.
Yeah,
Not only the physically going, but the mind's going. And
right,
so, and that's one group.
right.
Yeah, but then in lesson of uh, be connected. You know, just that process helps to be connected with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you know so that's the one. Okay, then there's a chair yoga people who really don't have awareness of a body. Only thing they know is they have problems.
Right, right. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I have the Tai Chi group.
Hmm.
Okay, pretty it's really power with trigger work, really.
It is.
you know
Yeah.
Energy work. And
And
okay,
you're conscious of your movements and
it's the
your,
movements.
yeah.
Okay, so they're little more, they will be, I call it, be more adaptable to
Yeah.
the trigger ways of doing things.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
then I have the yoga people, but problem with yoga is we have those very physical person,
Yeah. The personalities.
the
Yeah.
personality things. Okay,
Uh-huh.
and that how do I want to, how can I sneak in trigger work to that group.
Right. Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
and there's in the spring, this third person and I decided we're going to have a community exercise
Uh-huh.
group, which is free. Anybody could come. It's a free,
Uh-huh.
and we spend an hour doing things.
Nice.
You know, that'd be spring. But then in that group gonna be really good place to do the trigger work.
Yeah, to really play. Yeah.
They just play, you know. So they really have a really, I call it, I have a captive audience for me to explore. Fantastic. That's another reason why I decided to go ahead and sign up and play with.
That's great. That is great. And I think that every time you do one of these groups,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to steep yourself into the principles of Traeger so that you can share more from that feeling place, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They will really, they'll get it because you have it, you know. So the more you practice it, the more contagious it becomes.
Yeah, it's kind of hoping that the more I'm exposed to the like a class and so forth,
Right.
the yeah, I get more integrated into this work. I may not be able to identify this and that, but become more natural things
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happen and
Yeah,
happen to be trail work. You know.
That's right, because the best way to learn it is to receive it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Good. That's exciting. Yeah.
so yeah, and you know, keep on going back 30 years ago when I tabled this work.
Mhm.
I know how I was,
Right.
and I could identify people. They are me 30 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
You
Because
know,
you
and
were
that's real.
yeah, you were part of the yin. You were more of the yang.
Yang
Yes.
person,
Yeah.
okay, and
Yeah.
I couldn't quite get it bodily feelings, you know,
Right.
and so 30 years later, I kind of renewing that,
Wow.
you know,
That's
thinking, but, you know, I don't want to forget
right.
we have, you know, most of us are that me 30 years ago, and those are the ones that I'm going to be working with, you
Well,
know.
and we don't really want to lose the energy. We don't want to necessarily become slovenly, right?
Right.
But what we want to do is become present to being able to be with different types of energy
Mm-hmm.
and not let it affect us so much, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So a person who is a high energy person, there's nothing wrong with that, but probably they would like to have more of a range of emotionality or a range of sometimes they can be still and sometimes they can be high energy. You know, they
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be on all the time. There, and so we want to help them broaden their scope of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's healthy. That's what health is to have this wide continuum of emotion that is appropriate to the experience and not just
Uh-huh.
be in one pattern all the time.
Yeah. Instead of this is me. Yeah. Just kind of expand that this is
Yeah,
me part
yeah,
to,
yeah,
yeah, uncover the other part of.
yeah, yeah. So to find that part of you again
Mm-hmm.
within the boundaries that you're comfortable with and what is needed now, you know. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to go out and run a 26, you know, mile marathon or what, you know, whatever, but we do want to have health as we grow into our older years.
Mm-hmm.
And activity is part of that and socializing is part of that and expanding our community is part of that, which you're doing all these things.
Mm-hmm.
You become a really great model for people that you're working with because they want that too, but they maybe have narrowed their pathway so much that they
Mm-hmm.
can't move at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our role as practitioners or as I'm just going to say human beings working with each and being with each other is to open this lens a little bit wider and let things in that can feed us spiritually and emotionally and physically it does increase the chance that we'll have a more peaceful world around us.
Just maybe. Yep.
Maybe, maybe on a small scale, or maybe it'll be a big scale. We don't know, or both. But yeah, I think that's a really great insight, for
Mhm.
all of us. And Milton knew this, but he wasn't a great. He didn't do research, and he wasn't that interested in teaching, really. He just wanted to do the work and keep deepening the work. But there were some people that said, you really need to teach us. We need to have it. And so he did, but it never became a worldwide phenomena like Pilates or Feldenkrais, or, it did go around the world, and it still is international in scope,
Mhm.
but it's not something that everybody can do, I guess, or want to do.
Mhm.
And
So
is that because of exposure, or is that something else? I don't know.
yeah, the impression that I get is like talking to a physical therapist.
Mhm. Yeah.
They really not aware of trigger work.
Are they?
No,
Oh, they're not aware, right?
not.
That's right.
They're not.
Yes, they are
Okay.
not. Yeah.
Not. And so the um, trying to get them interested verbally, it really doesn't work. They gotta have to have some different source that I feed them.
Right.
And appears that's kind of lacking in the trigger organization to reach out to that group.
Yeah.
But yet, like my therapist, I swear she has a natural energy person,
Uh-huh.
and so she doesn't do work out of textbook.
Okay. Yeah.
And that feeling
So she's intuitive. She's using
intuitive,
yeah.
and so if somebody else feed her trigger information, she'll suck it up.
Okay. Yeah. So she's somebody that you'd like to talk to about Traeger, huh?
Yeah, well, I see her every week.
Right.
She's my therapist, okay?
Okay.
And she helped me a lot,
Right.
and so I trust her work. So we just keep on working on myself to improve this and that, and
Yeah. And you can share your experience with Traeger and Mentastics with her and let her know
mhm,
where that's coming from, and her work is very much like that, it sounds like.
mhm. And
Now
so
there's a big piece of this is intuitive, but that's something that we direct towards our own movement. What is
uh-huh.
it we need? Is it we let that movement come from inside? And then after years and years of doing that, it becomes obvious how we could see where other people might not be doing something that could be done. And
Mhm,
so the way that we explore that with them is through our own bodies and mirroring rather than telling them what they could be doing, or showing them. I mean, there is some of that we do. We call it broadcasting, and we will do this in the class. We're going to be using that technique, which is
mhm,
we find our own movement, but we talk about it, and we have somebody follow us.
mhm,
And then we do this without words, and we call that mirroring. So that if you were in front of a mirror, somebody would follow what you're doing. So there are techniques that we use to help us get more comfortable sharing this with other people in this
mhm.
class. So the first day, I'll just tell you a little bit about the class. The first day is
Yeah.
personal Mentastics. The
Uh-huh.
second day is working with a partner. and doing some of these things I was talking about. And the third day, we focus on how could we share it with the whole group. So we get to practice leading, but
Okay.
not until after we've done a full day of getting into our bodies and expressing what's inside and helping ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
The core of this work is self-care and self-development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think
So that's how. Yeah, and the third day.
yeah, the
we.
third day we build up to that, like
Okay.
yeah, so how would you work with this group right here, Nabi? There's 4 or 5 of us. How, what would you like to teach us? What would you like to share with us? And rather than teach, what would you like to explore? So we look at the language, of how we do this. So I think I think it'll be a good class for you at this point.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to do, just chat. I call it chat around,
Yeah, chat around.
yeah, get a few more information, like book to seek out and so forth, so on, which couldn't do, otherwise. So, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I am so happy to talk with you, and I definitely will look forward to seeing you in April. And I'm going to do my best to pull a group together. If you know anybody
Okay.
else that you want to send that information to, go for it.
Yeah. So what do I owe you today?
Oh, you don't have to pay me for
The regular.
no. No.
Oh, come on.
If you
This is a private lesson.
oh,
I learned that.
this is just a chat. It's just a chat, so don't worry about today. But what I would like is a deposit for the class at some point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can send that. I asked for $150 before the class sometime. And,
Okay. Yep, I could do that.
Yeah, that's fine. Just do that.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're putting the seed in the pot, and we're going to now grow this class better because I'm energized because you're coming. So that's my payment. Okay.
Okay. Well,
All
thank
right.
you very much. Thank you for your time.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I noticed you recorded.
I did not record this. Oh,
You
did I?
did?
Yes,
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, I will.
think you did.
Send it to you.
Could you, because a portion I wanted to share with this my yoga student who is good friend with the stroke.
Yes. And do you know how to make them smaller? Do you know how to? Because
just that portion.
I don't know if I can do that, but you can do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I'll send it to you, and you can share.
Alrighty. Yeah, and I'll play with it. Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
Good.
You have a good day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.